Hey there, Coach Devin here. I got a message from someone here on YouTube on a video I posted, and I thought, you know what? It's a very interesting response to what I had to say, and I thought I should get on here because I thought she brought up some good points. So the person's name is J.I. Brown. I'm going to assume she's a woman based on the fact that the picture looks like a woman. You don't know nowadays, but I'm going to assume, so I'm going to call her throughout this just to make it easy for everybody. Her name was J.I. Brown, and she was responding to the fact that I had talked about, I think made 2 videos on Gymshark. And Gymshark had posted a picture of a lady who was not what their normal models look like. Their normal models are ripped to death and, you know, abs like crazy and veins popping out every direction. That's what they usually use for their advertising. Instead, they used a very average-looking female model a few weeks ago, and they got a hugely positive, social media response for it because, you know what? It's the right thing to do. And I made a video on that. I said, it's great. It's good that they're doing that. However, where's the post about men? You know what I mean? Like, where's the average looking man here? Women are under a lot of pressure, but why isn't there, pictures of men? What's good for the goose is good for the gander. Gymshark obviously heard some responses like mine. I don't think they necessarily heard my response, but they heard some responses like mine. And next thing you know, they posted another one with an average looking male model. And he looks like the average guy out there. He's wearing their clothing. And I made another video and said, good for you, Gymshark. That was basically the upside of it. I was like, good for you. I respect what you had to say. I think it's great that we are, good for the goose and good for the gander now. That, both sides are being covered and we're showing reasonable bodies out there instead of, the absolute perfect body every single time. So J.I. Brown wrote me and said, well, you know what? Maybe people are just, comfortable in their clothes, and which is true. Could be. And she went on to say that, the pictures that, Gymshark usually uses are not sustainable bodies, and that I've said that. 100% true, J.I., you're right. I have said that. They're not sustainable without steroids, and a lot of drugs and a lot of crazy dieting. That's not a sustainable everyday look. People don't look like that every day without chemical help and a lot of dieting. I mean, they diet down for that picture. It's not normal. So she's right on that 100%. She went on to say that basically she felt like women had a lot more pressure on them than men when it came to media. And she said, basically you're just being a little pissy complaining that, about, men not getting a positive, an average looking guy out there. Maybe you should stop being so pissy and consider, basically, I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but consider what women go through. She's got a good point in a couple ways. First, not being pissy, J.I. I really am not. I thought that there's a way to be more positive in general for Gymshark. And I thought, you know what? Obviously, they got some good public relations stuff from their social media, from the women's picture of the average looking model. People were very happy with it. A lot of people like me said, hey, what about men? They did the same thing. Again, got a lot of positive. So I'm not by myself out here on an island complaining and being pissy, quote unquote, because of the fact that I'm not getting something. You know what? To me, I think I'm fairly fit. I'm not Gymshark ripped all the time. I've been there before, but it's an enormous diet. I don't, that's not sustainable. I don't do it. But I wasn't trying to be pissy. What I'm trying to do is say, you know what? I think we need fairness and reasonableness, and let's not set people up to have a ton of pressure on them. Because I don't think it's healthy. I mean, it's great to show people who are the idol or the thing you're shooting for, right? That's okay. But how far are we going to go with that? Do we really want it to constantly be bombarded with, these perfect pictures that are probably Photoshopped like nobody's business and, filtered and everything else, and that's not the way people actually look. I did think what J.I. had to say, and this is what we really want to talk about here. She's got a very good point. Women have an enormous amount of pressure on them now, and have always had an enormous amount of pressure on them through media. I mean, we are hammered, bombarded, and beat down, men and women both, with the amount of perfection women should stay up to. Okay? That's where we are. When we see and have seen over the years, a successful guy, he's wearing a suit and he's got a beautiful woman on his arm, and she is wearing something super tight, not a lot of clothing on, a lot of cleavage, something super short, and he might have a pot belly, and nobody cares. They're like, wow, he's super hot. and the undertone, the subtext here is not good. That's a horrible subtext. J.I. is right. Bad subtext across the board. What you're saying to a woman is the way you look is super important, and that's the only thing that matters. And for the guys, are you successful? Have you done well? Are you intelligent or whatever else? That's okay. You can have a beer belly because that's cool. That's all right. That was the underlying text that has been pumped out through media for a long, long time. It's not good. It sets women up for failure. It sets women up to think that they have to look a certain way to get love and be respected and, have anything positive happen for them. While the guys, well, you can have a pot belly as long as you have money, it's all good. Neither way is good. Okay, neither way is a positive way to look at anything. And I know I've been clear about what I think about the dad bod. I hate the idea of saying let's cheer for people who are unfit and unhealthy. I don't like that. Though, on the other side of that, though, I do feel that, you know what? If you're working toward a goal and you're healthy and you're not ripped to death, that's okay. I'm not ripped to death. If I'm not ripped to death, it's all good, right? It doesn't matter. It's not the end of the world. And I'm not saying that I'm some sort of perfection thing here. I'm not. I'm an average guy. I happen to work in a gym all day. That makes it a little easier for me to work out. But I do think that everybody should try to push to be healthy because that's important. It's important for your mental well-being. It's important for you physically. Your relationships are better. All those things. I believe strongly in people being healthy. I always have. But I hate the fact that we have bombarded people, predominantly women, with this idea that they have to be a certain size, a certain look, to get love, to be important, to have anybody give a damn about you. You can take it from Hollywood actors. See Hollywood actors sometimes, the guys will be overweight, the women are rail thin, and everybody goes, okay, that's your perception of beauty and perfection and being on top of the world and being successful for a woman looks like this. You have to be perfect. You have to have your lips like this and your hair like this, and you have to be this size. Unhealthy, stupid, ridiculous. We all know that. We all know strong, independent, intelligent women who are not super skinny. It doesn't matter. All I would say to that is I want them to be healthy. It's important for them to be healthy, but do they need to be ripped to death or super skinny? No, that's not real. And that's ridiculous. I do think that the pressure on the women has been there for a long time. Super unhealthy, super bad. J.I., you were right. Unfortunately, where we're going is instead of turning down the pressure on women, we're now turning up the pressure on guys. So instead of the pressure going down on women and we're saying, okay, we're not going to go this way or that way or the other way. Now, we're not going to say, hey, you need to be a size 2, a size 4, a size 0, size 00. Believe it or not, that's actually a size, a 00. I didn't know that until a couple days ago. Obviously, I don't buy women's clothing, but a 00 is actually a size. Instead of saying, okay, well, that's an unrealistic thing to say, we are now saying it's okay. We're now going to hammer down and we're going to make sure that men have the same kind of pressure than women. So suddenly all the guys are ripped to death. And now we're pushing out that ideal. Now that I'm not being pissy, J.I., not complaining, not saying that where men are is where women have been. Because let's be honest, women have had that pressure on them for a long, long time. Not healthy. I'm not on board with it. But let's change the dynamic of how we talk and advertise rather than saying this is perfection, okay, and we're going to put a ton of pressure on you and you guys, it's okay. Now we're saying here's a ton of pressure on women and now we're going to raise the pressure on the men. It's not good for anybody. Nobody wins. We're all in this, like the old COVID thing here. We're all in this together, right? Everybody's in it together. That's how life works. So to say what's good for the goose is good for the gander is fine when we're going in the right direction. Now we're going in the wrong direction. Now we're saying to men, hey, you have to be perfect too. You have to be ripped too. That's not healthy. It's not good. There's nothing good about that. It doesn't do anybody any good. It just doesn't. So bottom line here, where we have to be, and I'm not trying to be quote unquote pissy again, what I'm saying, and I'm not whining that women somehow have less pressure. Women have more pressure. But now the men are getting the pressure too, and that's bad around. I have said for a long time, I have 3 daughters, women shouldn't have the same kind of pressure on them as men. That pressure level should be brought down. And I hate the fact that now, instead of doing that, instead of bringing the women's pressure down, we're bringing the men's pressure up. And we're trying to even the field that way. It's not healthy. It's not good. It doesn't do anybody any good. It creates body dysmorphia. It creates depression. It creates eating problems and drug use and all kinds of things. Bad things happen from this. So we do need to change our mindset. And that mindset really comes down to how you interact with on social media. If you click on something and you like something where everybody's ripped to death, guess what happens? You get more of it. If you don't interact, but you interact with someone who looks a little bit more normal, you get less of it. And you're going to get more of the people looking normal. So that's why I was on top of Gymshark saying they needed to be more positive and, use more reasonable looking models. And that's why I applaud Gymshark for doing it. I think other people should follow suit. It's a necessity. Otherwise, we're going to have a very unhappy, very sick, very mentally stressed out society, probably even more than we do now. It's not good. We need to bring down the pressure on everybody. That's what we need to do. Bring down that pressure so that everybody understands, as long as you're healthy and you're working towards some goals and you're not, super sick because of your, what you've done with your body, that's what's important. If you have comments, questions, things you want me to talk about, just like J.I., thank you, J.I. I appreciate the comment. Write me, type it up down below. I'd love to hear from you. Again, like I said, I'm not going to necessarily argue or make a video on everybody's, but I thought J.I. had a very good point. I wanted to dispute the pissy part, but the rest of it, I thought she nailed it right on the head. It is what it is. You have to bring down the pressure level on everybody. Have yourself an amazing day, everybody. Don't fight the awesome.